6:30 in the morning of June 22nd, 2019. The June 22nd North Country Honor Flight is about to take place, and folks have been gathering for past 45 minutes to an hour. And it's quite obvious that enthusiasm has not waned regarding the North Country Honor Flight. Another outstanding turnout. It'll be hard to top the number of bikes that were here last time, but looking at the number that are here right now, they could do it. It's certainly going to become close to it. It's a beautiful morning here on this Saturday morning. It's about 65 degrees at the moment. Temperature's supposed to go up near 80 here in Plattsburgh, but the folks getting on the honor flight don't have to worry about the Plattsburgh weather. They are heading for Washington, D.C. to look at the different memorials in Washington for World War II, Korean, Vietnam, and various military branches, as well as the tomb of the unknown soldier. We'll try to find a person or two to talk with. We've got Judy Castine, as usual, along with us. And we had a little bit of a preamble to this yesterday when we followed the escort that was bringing Shane Lloyd from Franklin, Vermont to this to a hotel here in Plattsburgh, so he could be here bright and early this morning. Every once in a while, in fact every time, this crowd is filled with people who have been previous honor flight folks. We've got one right next to us right now, Mr. David Blix. You were on the May honor flight, that correct?
That's right.
What did you think of the trip, Dave?
It was an experience that I'll never forget. We were well honored. The crowd down there and people greeting us, not only here but at the airport down there. It's just an experience that you'll never forget.
You know, it's one thing for the locals to get out here and support our local people, but when you go to Washington, D.C. and see the turnout, it's amazing, huh?
It's amazing down there. The people at the airport lined up just waiting to shake our hands, and the Girl Scouts, when we left, were handing out boxes of cookies, thanking us for our service. It was just a wonderful experience, and being able to see all the different memorials down there in D.C.
And it's a non-stop day. You don't have time to catch your breath sometimes, do you?
No, you see one memorial, and you get back on the bus, go down to the next one. The police escort down there had a motorcycle in front of the bus. He was just pushing people off the road. And then we had a police car behind us. They were just unbelievable, the reaction down there of people.
Yeah, and you figure this is just one small area here from basically northern New York, although we got some Vermonters that come with us too. That they're doing this from all across the country, so those people down there are very dedicated, and you know, they turn out for a whole lot of honor flights from all across the country.
We met a lot of different groups, a lot of honor flights from all over the country down there.
Yeah.
It was an experience that you just can't describe or you'll never forget.
Yeah. We got Mr. Leon Menard pulling up behind you here. He's from Moores, and he's going on this honor flight. Leon has had some health problems on and off due to the Vietnam War in the recent years, and it's good to see that he's finally able to go on this trip.
Very nice to see him. We got Leon and
Winston Norcross will be to his right when he shows up, and we see a Michael Horn, you know
Mike
very
Horn,
well from the
Mike
Woodman
Horn.
world.
Go over and see these guys.
All right, so Dave's going to go around and tell these folks what they've got in store for them. As I said, once people go to this, a great percentage of them come back on a regular basis and come to all the functions that they have throughout the year. They just, it's hard to not know about the North Country Honor Flight. They have so many events and are at so many functions. They have certainly become a big part of the North Country scene. Everybody wants to get a picture with Leon Menard here as he gets ready to head to DC. If you've never been to one of these send-offs, consider putting it on your calendar. It's certainly an event you have to get up, I can't say before the sun rises, except when you get to the fall, then it is. But this time of the year, the sun beats you up, no matter what time you took.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Honor Flight number 28. By the end of today, we'll have sent 405 North Country veterans on a trip of a lifetime. Thank you. We want to thank everybody coming out today. It's a beautiful morning, and we're all here to show our thanks and gratitude for these 15 veterans that are joining the Honor Flight family. And we want to make that real clear that you are part of a family now, and you're welcome to join all the festivities every time we have any activities. So welcome aboard, and we're all here to wish you a great day, and we hope you enjoy yourselves all day long. Thank you. We got a couple special things going on today. You'll see a little bit later on, but we also want to thank Bigmantown Central. The 7th graders are the ones that are sponsoring this flight. It's called Team Ascent, and they raised it up to pay for this entire flight. You know, you hear some things about the younger generation, and some things maybe not so good, but I can tell you what, after what those kids did, and seeing the results and all the effort and the time that they put into this project, and to be so successful, we are confident that the hands of the future of America is in great hands. Thanks to them. Again, thanks to everybody for coming out. I want to hand it off to our MC, back again from Mountain Lake PBS, Tom Halleck.
That was Barry Finnegan.
Good morning, everyone. Great crowd. Wonderful. It's good to see everyone. We're going to kick things off this morning with the singing of our national anthem, and to do that, right behind me are students from the H&H Music Studio here in Plattsburgh.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched,
Beautiful, thank you very much. And now we are once again honored to have the Boy Scouts from Troop 46 to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. We would like to welcome some of the dignitaries who are here joining us this morning. City of Plattsburgh Mayor Colin Reed is here. North Country Assemblyman Billy Jones. And Town of Plattsburgh Supervisor Michael Cashman. And now, please join me in welcoming our guest speaker this morning, Bill Duffany, the representative from Beekmantown, from the Central School District, and a teacher of the 7th graders who did such a fantastic job raising the funds for this honor flight. Please welcome Bill.
Good morning. I'm here this morning representing Team Ascent. It's a 7th grade project-based learning team at the Beekmantown Middle School. The team consists of just over 100 students, ages 12 to 13, and 6 teachers. Our spring project this year was planning and executing the North Country Honor Run 5K and US Oval Walk. May 18th was a beautiful morning. We had a great turnout, we had a ton of support, and honestly, we're blown away by how successful it was. And we are absolutely thrilled to be here this morning and being able to sponsor flight number 28. We're feeling honored, humbled, and inspired to be here this morning with our esteemed veterans over here, but also those of you in the crowd and those that we've lost. This occasion is an important opportunity for all of us. Your quiet dedication to service and community, the sacrifices you've made, and in many cases continue to make, are not unnoticed by the rest of us. While we can never fully understand, we do know that our way of life is built upon and dependent upon people like you, those who serve. Each of you exemplify that ideal, and for that you have our gratitude, our respect, and our appreciation. To those of you traveling this morning, we are honored to serve you today. We are humbled by your selflessness, and we are inspired by what you have given us. You are role models to the young people of this community. North Country Honor Flight is an organization inspired by your service, and its purpose is to express our community's respect and appreciation. I know they won't like me saying this, but the team of volunteers responsible for the North Country Honor Flight is also a remarkable group of people. And we are feeling honored, humbled, and inspired by you. Honored by the opportunity to partner with you in this cause and by the trust you've given us. Humbled by your dedication to community and to service. And inspired to act, to follow your lead in this work. The outreach work you do, especially in our schools, it spreads awareness, it conveys urgency, and it reminds all of us of our simple obligation to say thank you and to give back when we can and where we can. You are role models to the young people of this community. Barry Finnegan, could you come up here and join us for a brief presentation, please? The North Country Honor Run was a huge success, but you have to know that we didn't do this alone. Far from it. We're going to make a presentation of a check here. It represents the work of a lot of students over several months. But it actually represents the gratitude, the appreciation, and the respect of our entire community. Hundreds of people contributed to this effort in some way or another. Everywhere we went, at every step of the process, there was someone there willing to give, someone willing to help, someone willing to serve. And for that, once again, we are feeling honored and humbled and inspired, and we hope that this is just the beginning. So Barry and all the North Country Honor Flight volunteers and the veteran community that you serve, on behalf of our team, on behalf of our school, and on behalf of the entire community, we're proud to present you with this check for $19,000. Thank you.
Incredible. Thank you, Bill. Now I would like to introduce the Morrisonville Elementary Choir. They are here once again to perform their song that they wrote after 9/11, Red, White, and Blue. They join us today under the direction of Heidi Glover. Good morning. Welcome.
If any of you know the words to the chorus of Red, White, and Blue, please feel free to come and join in singing with us.
Symbol of who we are, red, white, and blue.
It's now my pleasure to introduce Director of Operations, Janet Dupree, for the Memorial of Lost Honor Flight Veterans. Janet?
Good morning. First, I certainly want to thank all of our veterans, those who have served, those who are currently serving, and a special thanks and recognition to the 15 veterans who are taking today's honor flight. This event could not take place today or on any of these other honor flights without the support of so many. And I extend special thanks to the escorts, the motorcycle riders, law enforcement, and first responders who were out really early this morning to escort each of these veterans to the Oval today. To all of you, families, friends, veterans in the crowd who have been at who have gone on prior honor flights, and all of you who are in this amazing group of people simply because you care. Thank you for being here. It is now one of the things that we do is to read the list of deceased veterans who have died since our last flight, which was on May 18th of this year. Robert Burgess, Flight 9. James Durkin, Flight 25. Lawrence Ewald, Flight 13. Lauren Jaguar, Flight 7. Levi Oakes, Flight 17. William Rowe, Flight 17. Earl Schmidt, Flight 5. I now turn this over to Gary Liberty for military honors.
Good morning. At this time, Post 20 will pay tribute to those we've lost by playing taps and the gun salute, followed by the police, pipe, and drums playing a song for them. So please, stand and face the flag and honor the proper attention.
Thank you, Gary. Now let's bring Janet Dupree back up for the introduction of our veterans as they receive their travel orders.
Thank you. I have to say that I am so pleased that Flight Leader Bill Schwartz, who has put his heart and soul into this flight, and Assistant Flight Leader Gary Edwards have asked me to present the bios for our veterans. It's given me the opportunity to talk with all of them, and I know that each of you, as you listen to their experiences, will be as impressed as I am with this group of veterans who are flying today. Gerald Cooper, Navy, 1951 to 1955, Korea, EM2 second class. Jerry was an electrician who served on the USS Gloucester, PF-22, a patrol frigate that escorted destroyers. The ship was loaned to Russia during World War II and returned to the United States during the Korean War. As the Korean War was winding down, the old ship was turned over to the new Japanese Navy. Jerry also served on the USS Alvin C. Cockrell, DE-366. In addition to his service in Japan, Jerry received credit for service in China and Korea. Gerald Cooper. Roger Crowningshield, Army, 1967 to 1970, Vietnam, SP4. In Vietnam, Roger served as a medic in the operating room and said he still doesn't like to talk about it. As we can all understand, he saw too many soldiers badly wounded and way too many die. Roger said war is no good, but he did say the Army had respectable medical schools and provided decent training to the medics. He also appreciates having the opportunity to visit other states such as Texas and foreign countries including Germany. Overall, Roger's service was a good experience as he got to see other parts of the world. Roger Crowningshield. Kenneth Darr, Marines, 1966 to 1969, Vietnam Corporal. In 1967, Ken was engaged in Operation Buffalo when a U.S. plane dropped a bomb on them. He was standing closest to the bomb but never got a scratch. Tragically, 49 of his other Marines he was serving with were killed that day. Ken said it was the most terrified he was during his time in Vietnam, where he participated in over 30 operations. He was a rifleman and a team leader in and around Quang Tri Province in Vietnam. Ken received 2 Purple Hearts for wounds suffered during his service in Vietnam. Kenneth Darr. David Defiant, Navy Seabees, 1958 to 1963, Cold War, E5. After being stationed on 2 transport ships, the USS Missile and USS Gaffey, Dave was assigned to the Mobile Construction Battalion 3 during his time in Okinawa and Thailand. An engineer and builder by trade, he helped construct a MAG-16 for Marines to land helicopters and Beechcraft. His son was actually stationed there 26 years later. He was instrumental in building housing on Guam for Clark Air Force Base. Later, they constructed a base in Thailand where he worked with 20 men and 20 women who spoke no English. David says he wouldn't trade the 4 years of his service for anything in the world. David Defiant. John Delphas, Army, 1950 to 1954, Korea, Corporal. John was with the Corps of Engineers. They built a runway in Korea that was 2 miles long with 1,000 feet overspan in just 30 days. Every time a squadron of jets landed, the steel mats on the runway had to be replaced. John admitted he and his fellow soldiers didn't get much sleep as they were constantly on call to repair and replace the runway to assure the safety of the planes and the military personnel on board. John Delphos. Roland Fernier, Army, 1951 to 1953, Korea, private first class. Roland served with the 485th Engineer Battalion and the 682nd Engineer Division. He drove truck and was trained in demolitions, how to cut enemy railroad tracks and dig up roads so enemy troops couldn't get through. He was stationed in Fort Rucker, Alabama, where the barracks were just a frame on the outside with nothing on the inside. He was deployed to Germany and found the barracks that were finished off with hardwood floors and very good food. Roland will be 90 soon, and he still splits his own wood, although he said he does use a splitter now. Roland Fernier. Kenneth Hintz, Air Force, 1961 to 1965, Cold War, Airman First Class. Ken spent all of his years of service at Plattsburgh Air Force Base with the 380th Civil Engineering Squadron. As a power technician, he was assigned to local missile sites. When the Cuban crisis was starting up, none of the missile sites were ready. He was impressed the civilian contractors were able to quickly get 4 sites completed, and almost all the sites were done by the end of the crisis. Ken clearly remembers the day President Kennedy was shot, and they were all called back to the base on alert. Kenneth Hintz. Michael Horn, Air Force, 1965 to 1985, Vietnam, Master Sergeant, E5. Michael arrived in Vietnam just after the Tet Offensive. He worked as a specialist operating navigational aid equipment, assisting planes to take off, land, and to locate them while in the air. The Viet Cong blew up Michael's nav equipment, but he still extended his tour and re-enlisted to get his tax-free bonus. After retirement, he joined U.S. Customs. During 20 years in the Air Force, he was shot at once. During 15 years with Customs, he was shot at twice. Michael Horn. Shane Lloyd, Navy, 1960 to 1983, Vietnam, E7. Shane worked in personnel and took photos for 18 years. His first ship landed at Waikiki Beach, where he said there were lots of beautiful women. He spent a year in Vietnam aboard the USS Fort Marion, and he was deployed to Alaska. Shane and his wife Valerie met at a party in Arizona, and she greeted him with a "Hi, sailor." They have 7 children, and Shane said every time he went on a ship, he got a letter from Valerie saying, "Guess what?" Shane retired after 23 years of service. Shane Lloyd. Leon Menard, Army, 1965 to 1967, Vietnam, Staff Sergeant, E7. Leon was a crane operator who handled a 100-ton crane on a barge derrick on the water. The hook on the crane was 14 tons. They were shot at often, but he feels it was just to agitate them as nobody ever got hit. Leon was the first in his battalion to make E5. Later, the captain turned down a move from E5 to E7, but the colonel gave him the promotion. After working all night, they awoke him one morning. His tiny hair from Plattsburgh's wiry radio was there to interview him. Leon said it was nice to see someone from home. Leon Menard. Winston Norcross, Army Air Corps, 1944 to 1946. World War II, private first class. When he enlisted in the Army Air Corps as a high school senior, as the war was winding down, his chance to become a pilot was canceled. Assigned to the 393 Bombardment Squadron, he was part of Crossroads Project in Arizona, where bombs were tested. He then went to Marshall Islands as a tail gunner on a B-17 doing search and rescue. Winnie said he was only shot at once, when he and a couple of his buddies tried to steal watermelons and the farmer shot at them. We also want to take a moment to recognize Winnie's son, Guardian James Norcross, Air Force 1969 to 1973 Vietnam veteran, Winnie and Jim Norcross. Gordon Quincy, Navy, 1949 to 1953, Korea, Petty Officer, Second Class. At 17 years old, Gordon discovered he was too young to be a pilot, so he served as an aviation machinist mate at the Naval Aviation Ordnance Test Station in Chitticook, Virginia. He did get to fly quite a bit on the P-5Ms, but he never put foot aboard a ship. He was the youngest petty officer in his squadron in Norfolk, Virginia. He met his wife and decided to end his military career, and Shirley told me last night they've been married 65 years. Gordon Quincy. Robert Reset, Air Force, 1948 to 1952, Korea, Staff Sergeant. Bob was a tail gunner and the smallest guy on his bomber crew. He was the only one small enough to fit in the tailgate of the B-29 plane. Bob had a total of 47 missions. One day, as the plane cleared the Japanese coast, the plane developed engine problems. The pilot turned around and they all bailed out into a rice paddy. Villagers gave them food and shelter until the Air Force came to their rescue. Glad you got out of there all right, Bob. Robert Reset. William Richards, Air Force, 1951-1954, Korea, Staff Sergeant. William was a member of the Air Force Police and never served on a base with planes. He was assigned to Wright-Patterson Air Base in Ohio, but never went there. Instead, he found himself in California. He spent his years of service in high security, and to this day, he will not talk about his job or the name of the base where he was stationed. I tried, his lips are sealed. William Richards. Donald Wood, Air Force, 1963 to 1985, Vietnam, Chief Master Sergeant. When Don joined the Air Force, he was supposed to be stationed in Vietnam. At the last minute, his orders were changed to Thailand, where he served 2 tours of duty. He thinks that was probably a good swap. Don worked as a bomb loader, loading, unloading, and positioning munitions on aircraft. The Air Force brought him and his family to Plattsburgh, and he retired here after 23 years of service. His wife Jean passed away in 2018, but he continues to enjoy visiting his children in Florida each winter. Donald Wood.
Thank you, Janet. Please join me now in welcoming Monsignor Dennis Dupree for our closing prayer.
It was a long time ago, although it may seem like yesterday, Lord, these men, your sons, who heard the call of a nation to serve a cause for peace and for freedom. And with humble hearts, we send them today to our nation's capital. As they heard your call to go, they also heard the call of family and nation to return, to make a better world in which they live, and to give service to so many that they would come in contact over these years. The same service they rendered to a grateful nation. You have called them many times in many ways, and they've always responded. Help us, Lord, to be a grateful people for what they have done, for what they continue to do. Bless them on their journey today. We send them forth, Lord, and we ask you, dear sons of God, go forth this day. to enjoy some of the gratitude that should have been bestowed abundantly upon you so for many times for what you have done for your nation and for each one of us. Go forth, faithful sons, and return safely this night.
Thank you, Monsignor. We want to thank everyone for attending the ceremony this morning. We want to invite you to join the motorcade over to the airport. If you have never taken part in this motorcade, it is an experience. It will give you goosebumps as you go on New York Road and you see the fire departments and first responders at attention, the giant American flag, other fire departments welcoming everyone at the airport. Please, if you can, join in the motorcade. There is a designated spot for you to stand and wave to the plane as it takes off. And then please remember at 8:30 tonight, our veterans will be returning back to the airport. We hope you can make it back there to provide them with a warm welcome home from their memorable trip and day in Washington. Please join us now as Executive Secretary Pauline Stone is going to introduce our veterans for our Walk of Honor as they board the Honor Flight bus.
Good morning, and thank you for coming today. Gerald Cooper, United States Navy. Roger Crowningshield, United States Army. Kenneth Darr, United States Marine Corps. David DeFayette, United States Navy. John Del Foss, United States Army. United States Army. Kenneth Heinz, United States Air Force. United States Air Force. Shane Lloyd, United States Navy. United States Army. With Winston Norcross, United States Army Air Corps.
something? I'm not sure. We got the.
Up next is the escort led by probably well over 100 motorcyclists. This is probably going to be equal or even top the number of bikes that were here in May, which was record setting then. And it's such a long parade out of here that even though they're going all around the oval, by the time the last one was out, the first one was already heading out toward the roundabouts to head toward the airbase. So for those of you who may not have seen our coverage in the past, we'll get them leaving here and then head to the airport, and it takes us all we can do to get there ahead of this, even though they take a long route. We have to hustle to get there ahead of them. So it's a challenge, but it's a challenge that Judy and I look forward to for every honor flight. And of course we have to mention our friend Gordy Little, who along with yours truly was able to cover all the honor flights until his tragic death. Let's see, just almost exactly 3 years ago. I think it was the 22nd. Today is the 22nd. I think it was 3 years ago today that Gordy passed away. Forgive the bouncing as we make our way up to the line going through. To happen. The bikers are going too darn fast for us, and we're gonna have to try to sneak out here. And years past we've been able to get ahead, but we knew after last month that it was going to be close, especially with the long line they had today, and for some reason they're really zipping through. So we have to make sure that next time we talk to the lead biker and slow him down by about 5 miles an hour. There's a whole pile of them behind me in my rearview mirror. For some reason, some bikes don't continue. They head out. There's the fire department. I think that's Peru that's always there.
Oh, yeah?
Need a wheelchair?
I don't care, get it out.
Uncle Don, getting it now?
As we close off, just to give you a time frame, the veterans and their escorts and other family members who might be about a ticket in their case are up there waiting to board. The plane is here. I always get a little salute from the Plattsburgh International Airport truck here. They'll shoot the hose up, give them a little water salute as they go by. And on their way to Washington, D.C. to visit the monuments, and they'll be back here. It's 8:23 right now. They'll be back here in roughly 12 hours. So it's a non-stop day of fun and activities for all the veterans and their families involved. So that'll wrap up the June 22nd, 2019 look at the North Country Honor Flight. Over 400 veterans have made the trip, or will have made the trip to D.C. after this fight is concluded. Thanks for watching and supporting viewer-supported local television, Hometown Cable. TV we think is worthy of your support.
It's 8:22.